Well, today is September 16th, which is a Friday. Friday is a good day because it's the start of the weekend, and everybody wants to have fun things during the weekend. But here in DWZ, we're gonna be still reviewing some amazing wrestling events you may or may not have missed. But also, we're going to be, of course, reviewing GCW's latest events that took place earlier in the month of September. First one's going to be Effy's Big Gay Brunch. And then, of course, we got the Settlement Series Part 3. I wonder what this one's going to be. We already have The People versus GCW. And then, of course, we had Show and Tell. Who knows? Then, of course, we got AEW Rampage. I believe we have the ROH World Television on the line and many other good matches. But also, who levels up on this episodes of NXT Level Up? Well, we're just going to get to see. And also, we got some news updates going on, what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with GCW's Effy's Big Gay Brunch 5 that took place on September 4th. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with this is where, of course, we got wrestlers who are homosexuals getting involved, getting to show the world what they can do in the ring. Sometimes it's really a lot of fun, and also you get to enjoy. But it opened up with Devin Monroe versus Jai Vidal. Now, from what the commentator says, it seems like there's a bit of a, not of a rivalry, but more like, okay, who is this and that between these two. But I have to say, it was very impressive. Devin Monroe, he's almost similar to me. When I look at him, he was almost like Sonny Kiss for some odd reason. But I have to say, Devin Monroe really made a good impression in this match because Jai Vidal pulled off his finisher on him and he kicked out. It was unbelievable. But he did like some sort of a, I don't know if it's a modified version or something similar as a DDT move, but spinning on it was really impressive. That's what allowed him to win the match. Now, our next match, we have Edith Surreal along with Mike Bailey as her corner person, taking on Jordan Blaze, being accompanied by Janai Kai and Yoda. They had this thing, the Emerald Lord Montevis rules match. I don't know what that is. You know, it's new to me, to be honest with you. So I don't know exactly, but I have to say there's a bit of interesting because as soon as the rounds are over, it gets a little. There's moments where we say it gets a little chaotic, but they managed to control it. But it was Edith Surreal who won in the 5th round, so I have to say it was great to see her do what she does best. Now our next match is a very unique tag team gauntlet match. It's called the Gayest Tag Gauntlet match. So basically we have maybe four teams of tag teams facing off each other. It started with Mateo Valentin and Joey Mayberry taking on the Runaway, Calvin Couture and Tyler Klein. Now it seems like Valentine and Mayberry had everything under control, but the Runaway had to use a fan as leverage to ensure that Valentine and Mayberry lost, which of course it did until Couture pinned Valentine in order to proceed. But their next opponents was none other than Money, Power, and Respect, consistent of Fabioso Fabrico and Marcus Mayer, being accompanied by Pollo Del Mar. I thought this match was cool because it showed, oh, these guys, the Runaway, they may have tried to get away with this one, but I look at the power, money, power, respect. They're a bit more bigger dudes, and of course, it worked. Like they have the bit of the powerhouse, and that's what makes them win. And of course, that's how they won using powerhouse. So they won the match, but they had to go. Then their next opponents in the gauntlet was MSP, Aiden Agor, and the Danger Kid. I've seen these guys in a few occasions, especially when it came to a promotion out down in the East Coast. I thought it was pretty good too, but somehow they were able to overcome them. But their main, but the last team was the McQueens, Dylan and Eddie McQueen. I'm like, okay, so it jumps into that, but it was of course Dylan McQueen that picked up the win, and they entirely won the gauntlet match. Next match we have Sandra Moon versus Ashton Starr. Now I have seen Ashton Starr on many occasions. I thought this match was awesome. There was a moment that Sandra Moon almost couldn't shake off her knee. She was more like she was in pain, but she was able to get through it. But Ashton Starr was able to put her away. I think he might have did pretty good. I liked it. So he pinned her 1, 2, 3. Now our next match is a scramble match. We have Chase Burnett, or should we call him Uncle Chase, versus The Shades versus Armani Viagos versus J- Jayla J versus Moondog Murray versus Aaron Rourke. Now I thought this match was out of control. It was like really intense, but it was Jayla J who picked up the win when she pinned Uncle Chase. As you know, Uncle Chase is the one who has that cane, and frankly, he's the one who got pinned. Next match, this is another case of David versus Goliath. We had Kid Bandit versus, oh my god, Pero, the biggest a-hole they can't deal with. Now, Pero, as you know, he is the meanest and scariest individual that anybody doesn't want to cross with. Of course, we all know his history with Effy. He tries to take control of Effy's shows on many occasions, but this time he doesn't seem like he's happy anyway. But Kid Bandit was able to hold her own regardless of anything. Even Effie tried to get annoyed and by Para to get into his head to give Kid Bandit the opportunity, but unfortunately it was the Samoan driver that finished Kid Bandit off by Pero. But I'm sure Pero is not happy with everything else. So that's how I see it. Now our next match, we have a triple threat match, a three-way. We have Dark Sheik versus Alley Catch versus Tail Valkyrie. This match was great. I think I was like enjoying it because these are three of the best individuals we've seen: Dark Sheik, Alley Catch, and Tail Valkyrie. But it was of course the priestess of the Church of Wrestling, Dark Sheik, that picked up the win. I thought it was a really good one. Now our main event, we have Max the Impaler along with Amy Rose taking on the host of the show, the man himself, Effy. Now it appears that the commentator said there's some sort of history between Effy and Amy Rose. Amy Rose tries to give information to Max the Impaler because it turns out these two actually known each other since 2017. But the obvious question is Effy the same guy as Amy? Remember, that's the obvious question. But oh my god, I was so freaked out with Max the Impaler choke slamming Effy right on top of the ladder, straight down. But he was able to go through. But Max the Impaler made a mistake by trying to spear Effy right in the corner area, but she got caught there. It gave Effy the roll up Max and won the match. So it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. Hope everybody does. If you're not a fan of the show, you guys can just don't watch it at all. So it's pretty good. So right now, let's move on with the next GCW show, Settlement Series Part 3. Okay, so we continue on with more GCW Settlements Series Part 3. Now, we already have Part 1 with the People versus GCW. Show and Tell. And then finally, what's the name for this one? Karaoke Night. So basically, the rules is simple. The participants wrestle. The winner picks the song, and the loser has to sing it. So basically, it was like that. Now, I want to put this on record right now. I don't even know most of the songs we're playing. There is one I do recognize. I just don't remember the name of it, but I heard it a bunch of times in certain TV series. Just don't know the name of it. So I'm not gonna reveal what names were they, but that's the thing. So let's get started with the first match. We have Rico Gonzalez versus Steven Scott. I thought this match was pretty good. Now it showed like how much Rico is having a little fun, but however there was a miscalculation on his part that allowed for Steven Scott to pick up the win. Next up, we got Young, Dumb, and Broke, Charlie Tiger, and Ellis Taylor taking on Pretty in Pink, Dylan McQueen, and Kenzie Page. Now, I have to say that I didn't think that Charlie or Ellis were going to get along because there have been some issues between them, but they seem like they work things out. But in certain points, uh, Petty and Pink thought they had everything under control, but nope. Apparently, it was Dylan McQueen who ended up being pinned. So that was pretty much how it goes. I think it was a double stomp. It was a stomp converted into a Death Valley driver. And the next one we have is Dustin Waller versus Teriyaki. So I thought it was a very impressive match. Now I don't know who this Dustin Walker is. I never seen him, but he was good. He was really impressive. It was with his hang tie that allowed him to win the match. Next up, we got Bobby Flaco taking on Rolando Perez. Now, I don't know much about Rolando Perez, but Bobby Flaco, I've seen him maybe a few times. Uh, Excellent win, but however, Rolando refuses to acknowledge the song, so he just went screw that. Next up, we got Donnie Janela taking on Bam Sullivan. Awesome match, very powerhouse type with Bam Sullivan, and that's how he went with a spinebuster type of maneuver. But I think it was Donnie Janela's song that kind of remember that song I mentioned to you that I only know. That was the one. I'm like, wow, I can believe he pulled it off. I think it was a modified Death Valley driver by Sullivan that win the match. I think that's what the commentary said, yeah. Next up, we got Hunter Drake versus Grim Reaper. Now, we know Grim Reaper, his specialty is with smoking out weed, and it gave him his power, and that's how he allowed his match. But Hunter Drake, well, he put up a good effort singing, but that's how it ended. Next up, we got Brandon Kurt taking on Jordan Oliver. He barely knew the lyrics, but it was Oliver with the cloud cutter that allowed him to win, but Brandon Cutler just took off while Jordan Oliver would continue to sing for him. So I don't know why he was doing it. It was supposed to be Kirk to do it. Next up, we got Jimmy Lloyd versus Suma Sakai. I thought it was a fun match because Sumi, being the legend that she is, well, she was able to pick up the win. She put a really interesting song, but Jimmy says, F this. So he took off. Now our main event is Ezreal take on Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne, as always, we saw him pretty good. He picked up a good win against Ezreal with the Cloud Cutter. And then, of course, he was doing a good job singing. But however, he attacked Nick Wayne, tried to beat him senselessly. But luckily, Jordan Oliver showed up for the save day, and he told him, I got a good song for you. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey hey, goodbye. Now, for the record, of all three series, which ones are absolute my favorite? Well, I want to be honest, it's going to be the People versus GCW. That's my favorite one. I have to say, the other two were fun, but I feel more comfortable with the feel like the People versus GCW was the best one for me. Now, if you guys ever seen this, you should check them out. They're on watchprowrestling.org. All three series. Just search GCW, or it's right there on an icon right there. You can see it. You can find it right there. So I think that's pretty much it right now with all the GCW. It's time for AEW Rampage. Okay, as you know, we're like 1 week away before we get to Arthur Ashe. So right now we're in AEW Rampage. Opening match, Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy. Now this challenge was issued by Matt Hardy to Darby Allin, and I didn't think this was going to happen. Now we do know these two have confronted each other in the past, so that was a pretty interesting match. However, like the obvious thing is, whenever we see someone take on Darby, we think of him, oh, Darby's going to lose. But no, it's always been that profile. But Darby was able to apply some interesting maneuvers, but it was the Last Supper that allowed him to win the match. And of course, showed some respect. But however, it appears the House of Black in the post match reared their ugly heads and asked for a challenge against Sting and Darby after what happened in All Out. So basically, they want this to be a no disqualification. So it looks more likely that Buddy Matthews and Brody King wants to rectify that loss that they had. So we'll see what happens, but I'm sure that match is going to be happening at all, as soon as we know. Now Kingston, as you know, he continues with his feud against Sammy Guevara. It appears that this feud is going to possibly conclude in Arthur Ashe. So we'll see what happens then. Now, Claudio Castagnoli, as you know, he had a great match a week ago where he put his ROH World title on the line against Dax Harwood. Now, we can say Dax Harwood is a tag team specialist, but I have to say he put up a great match with Claudio. Even if he didn't have Cash Wheeler, he did an amazing job. And Claudio, as you know, he's proud. He even talked about Wheeler, how he knows for a fact that Wheeler will get back on the horse to reclaim the ROH Pure Championship. But at the same time, he knows right now, next week, they have two members of the Blackpool Combat Club that will be challenging each other. But he said he's not surprised. I mean, it's bound to happen one way or another. But he did say, we will have two world champions in Blackpool Combat Club, which he's not wrong. However, Chris Jericho, as you know, he puts himself out there saying he's a world champion. There's no denying that. But he did say he never held the ROH World Championship. That is basically true and fact. He never challenged that for that title. And of course, Claudio said that he's been hoping that that's what this was about. So he's going to put that title on the line. I believe that's going to happen possibly next week or so. So I can't wait to see what's that going to take place. Now, we do get an interview with Jade Cargill. As you know, Jade is no longer associated with Stokely Hathaway, but apparently they're saying that there is no one left in the women's division to challenge her. However, Diamante shows up telling her that, that she's going to be challenging her next week, but she's not coming alone. She's going to have some backup, an OG badass. So that could be reference to, of course, Mercedes Martinez. But of course, the Cargill and the baddies are very much confused. What the hell just happened? Now, our next match, we see Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian taking on Willow Nightingale. I have to say, it was a very impressive match from both ladies. I think we're showing it. But however, this match is more like Penelope Ford is back with a vengeance. As you know, it feels more like she's out to prove herself, why she needs to get back on the game. We know that she should be challenging one day for the women's title soon enough. As for Kip Sabian, we are watching, he just stands there looking at that freaking box that he has. So we don't know what the significance, but it was the Indian Deathlock that allowed her to win the match when she applied it onto Willow Nightingale, and Willow had no other choice but to tap. Now we do get an interview with Hangman Page and Dark Order. Now before anything was proceed, Hangman apologized deeply to the Dark Order what happened during All Out after losing for the AEW World Trios Championship. But of course, they said, look, accidents happen. We know it's, but they're all say they're involved in the battle royale for a shot of the AEW World Title. But once again, Jose and Rush showed up. Basically trying to get 10 to go with them. That's how it is. It's because this is the MO from Andrade. He thinks that people are working for each other. Look, Dark Order is not just a group. They're like a base, like a family type. And I think that's the whole problem that Andrade doesn't see. But Rush said something in Spanish to Hangman, saying that I'm going to destroy you, cowboy, because when you mess with the bull, you get the horns. And they're like, any idea what he said? So basically, no one knew. Now, our next match is Ethan Page along with Stokey Hathaway to take on Danhausen. Danhausen was about to curse uh, Ethan, but he decided to mock him by doing the. But of course, Page did not like that one way or the other. But he even tried to curse him and he told him to kiss his ass. But it was the ego's edge that sealed the deal for him to win the match. Now, Ricky Starks, as you know, he is now on a warpath of payback against, of course, his former friend and teammate, Powerhouse Hobbs, after what he did to him after losing the FTW championship. So that's the thing he knows. So he's telling him the talking is over. So he's gonna be ready for that. Now our main event is the ROH World Television title. Josh Woods along with Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling taking on the champion Samoa Joe. Now this match was issued because Sterling wanted to reward Woods for saving him from Wardlow. But of course, you know the capabilities. These two men, as you know, they were both champions. They were both pure champions, and that's the thing about it. But of course, we get to see the interference from Sterling and Nese, but that doesn't work until finally Samoa Joe got rid of both Woods and Nese and Sterling in order for him to apply the Muscle Buster 1, 2, 3. It was over. But of course, like sore losers that they are, they attacked Samoa Joe. They even tried to use the belt against him, but Wardlow showed up with the selfie hand. But he was this close of powerbombing Sterling. I would love to see that, but he's too much of a coward. So I can't believe. But we see these two come across each other face to face. That's gonna be crazy. I just can't wait to see what's gonna take place after that. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW. I believe it's time to move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this episode of NXT Level Up? Let's just find out. Our first match, we have tag team action. We have Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile taking on Sloane Jacobs and Erica Yan. Now, Yan and Jacobs, this is their first time teaming up. Two women who are from two different backgrounds and fighting styles. That kind of sets into the test between two women. As you know, Ivy Nile, she is one of those women that we have considered that one day she'll be NXT Women's Champion. That's only a matter of time until that day happens. Paxley, who's earning her stripes to gain, of course, confidence with Ivy now, knowing that she wants to be part of a group like with her. So I think that shows us. They have shown they've been training a lot, but the best part is how they ended the match with a very cohesive match where Ivy Nile was raised her hands up while Paxley was in fact behind her on top of the turnbuckle, and then swung her around and boom, 1, 2, 3. That's a very impressive move. Now it's still no clue what they're gonna call it, but you can guarantee that somehow one day we can see these two team up for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles in the future. All they gotta do is win more matches. Now we get an interview with two of the newer members of the roster. We get to see on NXT Bronco Lima and Lucian Price. So as you know, they're close friends. They've known each other for many years. But Duke Hudson, being a buzzkill that he is, saying all this friendship thing doesn't work. So they try to set up a tag team match, but he doesn't want to. So Bronco stepped up the game, and that match was next. And I thought it was a pretty good match because you're looking at, okay, Bronco and Duke are big individuals. Now, we know in the past Hudson have been able to defeat wrestlers smaller than him, but he's beating guys who are almost the same equal height as him. So that's the play out. But it was the big boot that allowed him to pick up the win against Bronco Lima. Now, our main event, we have Amari Miller versus Indy Hartwell. Now, Indy Hartwell, as you know, is trying to come out, try to reinvent herself after, frustrations, knowing she has to do things on her own. You know, uh, Johnny is in the main roster. Same thing with Dexter. We know where Candy is. But I think that sets the whole light, and I think it shows now she has to step up saying, okay, she needs to prove herself and go solo to make things better for herself. And of course, she did. She put her in some sort of a powerbomb type maneuver, and boom, and she won the match. So sooner or later, we will see her possibly becoming NXT Women's Champion. It's only a matter of time. So I think that's pretty much it with the NXT Level Up. I believe it's time to move on to our lasting news updates. Okay, news updates for everyone now. As you know, MLW has been on a hiatus for quite some time. They'll be back. I believe we're going to have taping starting on the 18th of September. Now, good news coming up. One of the matches has been allowed. It was announced recently. Don't remember which ones. It was for the MLW World Middleweight title between Myron Reed and Sean Skywalker. Well, apparently there's going to be another title match taking place, and that is, of course, the MLW World Title. Alex Hammerstone will be challenged by none other than the Bandit himself, Bandito. So that's going to be a killer match. I can't wait to see when that happens. Now, for all you Tokyo Pro Wrestling fans out there, you may have heard or not, there's been a new series on YouTube where they're training these new girls, and apparently they're going to do exhibition matches real soon, and it's going to happen on the 14th of October. Three of them will be us going there. Originally there was four. I don't know if one quit or whatever. That's the unknown thing I haven't figured out yet. Now, for all of you guys from the Elite, or you're just plain old Kenny Omega fans, as you know, the Golden Lovers are back. They are reunited for some event taking place for the Tokyo Game Shop on the 18th of September. That's going to be, of course, Sunday. I can't wait to hear more about it. And finally, our last update here. Pro Wrestling Noah has announced that Michael Elgin is no longer part of the roster. Now, keep in mind, Elgin was arrested due to for some robbery that he was conducting at a protein shake store or whatever it was. So basically, that's how it is. I mean, look, first it was New Japan, and now this. So we don't know what caused this behavior of him, but hopefully we just probably don't need to hear more about him, because I know some of you are saying he had his chances to make things right for himself, but it looks like he's been blowing it up. So we can say that. So I think that's pretty much it right now with the news updates. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. As we speak right now, but while filming this, we should be already starting with more on the 5-Star Grand Prix by Stardom. As you know, they're still continuing on. We just had, of course, the Choco Pro show. I will be reviewing that one soon enough. And of course, GCW had two recent events in 2 days. One where they collaborated with TNT Extreme Wrestling, and of course, they had their show in Liverpool, which I haven't seen yet. And there's these two events, the Road to Budokan by All Japan. I'm still looking. I haven't seen any of the All Japan stuff recently, but I will catch up to that soon enough. So I'm just gonna wing it for the next episode or two. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So Goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.